Okay, I'm going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to all classical guitarists' hearts, our fingernails. Nails make up a big part of a classical guitarist's sound and our voice, ultimately. While shaping, care, and maintenance are critical, a broken nail can be debilitating. So I'm going to show you how to tend to a nail that needs repair. In my nail maintenance video, I cover many of the causes leading to a broken nail, but even the most careful guitarist occasionally finds him or herself in need of fixing a broken nail. So, there are a number of different methods depending on the kind of break to the nail. First, there's the nail replacement, which is necessary if you've broken the nail or formed a crack on the playing side of the nail. This necessitates gluing an entire fake nail underneath your natural nail. If you attach the nail correctly, this will last for about 2 weeks. Second, if you've broken the entire nail off, your best use of using a fake nail is one that attaches to the top of the nail, like the Rico nails, with I think usually a tape adhesion. Usually this needs replacing after each practice session, though. And thirdly, if you have a crack that develops on the non-playing side of the nail, then layering, believe it or not, toilet paper with crazy glue will do the trick, allowing you to continue to play with your natural nail. Okay, but the one I like most, and the one I end up using the most, is one that incorporates using a fake nail cut from a ping pong ball to the underside of my natural nail. I feel that this gives me a pretty good sound. It takes a little bit of time to get used to the feel of it, but it's a pretty good sound. You can get a pretty good sound from that kind of nail. And this under the nail replacement method differs from the nails that are attached to the top, like we said before. The problem with the nails that attach to the top, if your natural nail is long enough, is that those nails that go to the top of your nail, on the top of your nail, when you play the string, your natural nail hits the string, and then the top nail hits the string, and it creates a click sound. So unless your nail is completely broken off, I go with and you don't have any room to glue a nail underneath it, then I go with a fake nail underneath the nail. So I'm going to show you the first method, which is gluing the nail underneath the nail, fake nail underneath the nail. And the tools you'll need is a ping pong ball, just a regular old ping pong ball, believe it or not. Okay, some surgical clamps. This works for gluing our clamping our fake nail to our nail, getting the air bubbles out of the glue. Nail polish remover is always safe to have in case something goes wrong. Need some cuticle scissors. Cuticle scissors are good for cutting the ping pong ball nail and kind of getting the excess nail off. Nail file and sandpaper, of course, our trusted friend sandpaper. So I've got my ping pong ball, and you see how I've cut my other nail out. I'll just cut like this, a little shape that looks pretty good, about a nail size. And I can actually cut a bunch of these up and shape them, maybe when you're watching TV or just doing nothing around the house, and I actually mark them. I get them set for each finger, for my thumb, index, middle, and ring. And that one, for instance, is probably best for my index finger, like that. And then I mark I on the back with a little pencil, so that if I'm in an emergency situation, I'm about to play a concert and I break a nail, I go into my little bag, grab one of these and stick it on. Before I glue it on, though, I tend to trim that because that's kind of big and that's stuck underneath the nail, as you can see. So I tend to trim that a little bit on the side. So I've got one here. What I did for you guys is I filed my A fingernail too short, so I can't really use it to play, so that I could glue a nail onto it. So what I'm going to do is get my crazy glue ready. Okay, I've got my, I want to get my surgical clamps ready and get those open. Okay, and see if this crazy glue is working. Now you don't want to use the kind of crazy glue where you have to push against it. There's a one that releases the glue only when you push. So this looks a little bit, yep, this will work. So I get this ready. This has got to be kind of critical. I get the nail underneath like that, get it under nice and tight, not too tight. Also, I cut off these edges a little bit too. I should show you that because these edges can be pretty painful. If you don't kind of trim these right here, I don't know if you can see that, but right about there, kind of clip those parts off right there, around that edge inside there, and that edge right inside there. Those can be kind of sharp, and if you get that shoved up into your nail, it doesn't feel good. And especially doesn't feel good when you start playing. So get the nail, the fake nail, underneath my real nail. I get it set like that, kind of on an angle a little bit, and get it pushed in there. And I'm going to angle it away a little bit from my nail so I can get a strip of glue in there. And I kind of jury rigged this crazy glue because it had gone bad, but let's see what happens here. So I start running on one side, see the glue appear, just run a thin line of glue along underneath the nail, and now I got some glue on there. And I push up real quickly, sometimes getting my thumbnail of both hands and push it up into the nail, getting a nice tight fitting, but not touching the nail too often for too long, because I can catch some glue and stick to it. And so now that's sitting there pretty good. And it feels pretty good. Now I'll take my surgical clamps, and you can get these at actually fly fishing stores. They use these for tying flies. And you kind of clamp on the nail just briefly. Again, you don't want the surgical clamps to stick. So I got that clamped on there, and kind of squeezing. I kind of hold one side down with my thumb over here while I'm clamping this side, making sure that I got the nail pretty well secure. And I'm really critical about the edges over here and over here. It's really important to kind of get those parts really good. So let me see here. So I make sure those are kind of secure in there and clamped pretty well. Tighten that down. Again, I try not to torque the nail too much so it pulls off on one side. So that glue is pretty well held at that point. The nail's on there for quite a while, okay? Now, obviously, you can't play with that nail like that. So I begin to sand. And, usually when you clip a nail, cut a nail at first, you got quite a bit of nail. So I've learned to trim some of this off just so I don't have to be doing a lot of filing. So I just take some of that off there like that, and then just start trimming the nail down. And again, when I'm done with all these, I just see which ones fit which fingers, and I have a whole set in my bag. And like I said, it's kind of handy if you're in an emergency to be able to put those nails on. Now, you don't want to have the nail too short, the fake nail too short, because you want this to grow out a little bit. Okay, so now we take the filing, and I still try to support the place I'm not filing with my nail. I don't want to torque that nail off. I want to keep that fitting really good, and we'll file down and be back with you in a second, and I'll show you the end result here. Okay, so now I've filed the nail down quite a bit and got it in a pretty good shape. I want to leave it a little bit long so that I have room to file it and let it grow out while the natural nail grows out and the damage grows out with it. I want to watch these sides here. We really want to watch these sides. If the nail begins to come off, it'll come off on the edges. So if it does, you just kind of keep your crazy glue handy, dab a little on either side, and use again the surgical clamps to kind of keep the nail attached. All right, so that's about what the nail looks like there. Okay. Okay, so now this nail should this fake nail should last about 2 weeks if you got a good seal, if you got a good grip on it. And like I said, you want to watch the edges, make sure that it's not coming off on the edges first. But you file it just like I filed it. You use the nail paper on it just like you normally use nail paper, and it should be pretty strong. Now you got to be very careful with this type of attachment, because if that nail begins to come apart from the real nail and it catches on something and rips, the glue will probably rip the rest of your nail off. So you got to keep your nail paper handy with you at all times. A piece of nail paper, maybe even a nail file, and a little bit of crazy glue. It's always good to have it in the glove compartment of your car